Someone brought me this little gun to clean up and go through that they inherited from a great grandfather, I believe. It's a RG15, which is a 22 long rifle, or I guess 22 anything, 22 short or whatever, Derringer. And they made these things in the 50s, and I think they even made variations of them all the way into the 80s. I'm not too sure. I've seen a couple of them before, but he doesn't know anything about guns. He's not, into firearms or anything. This is the only gun he's ever really even touched, and he's never shot it. So he just asked me to go through it, clean it up, and see if it could be fired. So I went out and shot it, and it does work. So I'm going to take it apart. Yeah, we're just going to kind of see how this thing comes apart and take a look at how it works. I've never taken one of these apart before, so it may be a little slow getting things apart. I'm not sure how far I'll go as far as disassembling it, but it's really simple. So on the right side here, this little swing is what lets you open the barrels, and there's a screw that goes through here that kind of, you can move it in and out just a little bit, a lot more when you have it disengaged. So there's a notch right here that corresponds to that little nub, and that's kind of what holds it in place. You kind of have to push on the back here and push it over that, and then it holds it in. I'm not sure if that's the way it's supposed to be, but that's kind of how this thing works. So swing it forward, load 2 rounds, put that thing back, and then pull the hammer. So there's just a small cam inside here. So when you pull the hammer, it'll fire one chamber, and then when you pull the hammer again, it fires the other one and infinitely rotates. There's no way to choose which one you fire. I don't think this is one you would want to dry fire. It doesn't actually have a firing pin. It's that metal piece right there, and it just moves up on one stroke and down on the other. So I don't know if dry firing it would really hurt that bad. It may not do anything to it, but on something this old and cheap, we're not going to risk it. So let's go ahead and start taking this thing apart. I haven't taken it apart yet, so we're going to learn together here. I'm going to start with this top screw here. Wasn't too tight. A little bit of resistance coming out. May have some kind of thread locker on it. So there's that screw. We have a shank and a threaded end. There's actually a little bit of metal right here. A little bit of metal shaving. Maybe someone over tightened this screw in the past. Actually, what is that? I don't know. I can't tell if that's a metal shaving or maybe some kind of dried up thread locker. Let's take a look. Okay, it's definitely metal. So it looks like someone's probably over tightened this screw at some point and maybe stripped off a little bit of metal from the receiver, but the threads look okay in the back. We'll undo this lever here. Swing that thing out. This thing does weigh a good bit. It's pretty heavy. So there's not a spring on this. I don't know if there should be. I haven't looked at any diagrams, but there's definitely not a spring. But you can kind of, eject the shells and pull them out. So that looks like it's really all you can take apart here. That cross rivet there may be, I don't think it's removable. I think it's from the manufacturing process. Let's see if we can take this section apart here. Oh yeah, that screw is not tight at all. Little tiny screw. Looks more like a set screw. It just barely has a head. See if we can very gently pry one of these sides off. Oh, there we go. Okay, I see how that works. So there's a little recessed section right here where that set screw goes in when it's tightened. And that's all there is to it. Just this piece right here. It definitely could have had some kind of spring right there. So when you open the gun, it naturally forces them up a little bit, but I really don't know. I'm not sure if it's supposed to have one of those or not. So put that to the side, and this is as far disassembled as you can get it. At this point, you can clean it off real good. Put that to the side, and take a look at the frame. Let's take off the grips first. I'm not sure what these are made of. They're really hard, and the one on the other side kind of has some cracks to it. So there's the screw. Interesting that it's threaded the whole way. I wonder if it's the original screw. So here are the grips. I'm not sure what they're made of. There's not any marks on them, but they have some brass inserts. Looks like this one here has some cracking there at the top. I'm not sure if these are factory or not, because they really didn't seem to fit very well in the frame. I'm not sure if maybe they sold reproductions or something, but they don't fit too good. That one seems like it fits okay, but I think maybe the other side didn't look like it fit very well. Yeah, okay. This one doesn't look like it fits too well. Put those to the side, and let's take a look at our mechanism here. So we have the mainspring being compressed down here, and then this right here is actually setting the cam. So take a look when I cock it. You'll see the cam inside here rotating on this pin. The cam will be spun by this rod. So pulling it back, then we'll pull the trigger, and the cam actually rotates on the trigger return, and then is pulled back again. See that? There we go. That was a good look at how that works. So pull that. There you go. You see it click around that time? Cam slowly turning. I think it's dirty. I think it should be turning easier and quicker than that. There's the hammer, and I guess what you could say is like a firing pin, a striking lever. I really am not too familiar with these. Looks like it's in the down position. Cock it and pull it again, and now it's in the up position, or it's kind of right in the middle, but you can see where it would be striking. So pretty interesting. All right, and there's a flathead screw here on the front. It looks like it holds the lever in place that interfaces with the cam there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and dive in a little deeper. I'm trying not to make this video too long, but I don't know, maybe it'll help somebody out if I take this thing apart some more. So the mainspring and the strut are right here. The strut is held in place down here at the bottom, it looks like, and it's actually slotted for a flathead screwdriver. So let's take this thing apart. If you do this, please use a high quality screwdriver and don't use one that's too small. Or you'll strip something out, and that would really be bad. I'm not sure how much spring pressure is going to be behind this, so just doing it really slow and pushing forward. Okay, there we go. Looks like we've relieved all the spring pressure. Okay, so it only goes in one way because the flatheads are machined only on one side. Awesome. We can pull that out. So there's our spring and the strut. And they go in just like that. Put those to the side. So let's take a look inside here where the hammer is and the, I don't know, I'm going to call it a striker. I'm going to call that a striker. Let me see if I can get the lighting right. You know what? No, I can't. So there's a little tiny cam down inside here. That's this section there. And that's what's rotating and moving the striker. Let's see if we can get this thing apart a little bit more with some punches. I'm going to take the screw off and take this strut out. There's just like, it looks like sawdust coming out. Every time I take one of these screws out, I have no idea what this stuff is. It's kind of gross. It's like sand and sawdust mixed together. Alright, so there's that. Yeah, we'll leave that screw in there. It is stuck pretty good. So this goes in like that. Put that to the side. That screw's stuck. I'm just going to leave it there. And this is kind of, there you go, you can see that cam. See it turning now. And this is the back of the striker. Let's see if we can take the hammer out. Trying to see if I can tell which way it was put together so we can take it apart the same way. I think it was put in this way because I can see some punch or hammer marks over here. And there's nothing on this side. It's nice and clean, so we're going to take it out this way. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's coming out easier than I thought. That was just a starter punch. I'm going to use, what is this? 5/32 punch to get it out the rest of the way. Okay, let's take a look at that pin. Alright, here's the pin. This is the way it was like this, and I drove it out like that. So when we put it back in, we're going to put it in the opposite direction so we don't wallow out this hole on this side. It's the way most pins are supposed to be done. Put that to the side, and I'm going to very slowly remove this punch, and hopefully nothing comes flying out. I'm going to put my thumb on the back of the hammer here, and my finger on the front of the striker. Slowly take it apart. Okay. So nothing flew out at me. Let's see if I can... There we go. Check it out. That's pretty cool. Let's see if there's anything in there. Nope. Nothing in the frame. But let's look at this, the way it works here. So, hammer, striker spring. Like I said, I'm calling that the striker still. And then this is the cam. So as the cam spins, it stops in a different location each time. So this is for the top cylinder, and then when you rotate it, or when you do the hammer again, the cam rotates because of this lever on the back here, right? And now it's in the lower cylinder position. Pull the hammer back. Now it's in the upper position, and it keeps rotating like that. And that's how it works pretty much. Let's take these sections off and see if they look different on either side. So the cuts are in a direction to where if you put this on backwards, it would not work. Depress that spring, take this striker out, if I can get it out. There we go. Move that spring first so we don't send that thing flying across the room. Alright, and this comes out. It just fits into that groove there. And the spring just rests on the back. There's not really a socket for the spring, it doesn't look like. Cool, very neat. So this is the front part here that actually strikes the back of the rimfire rounds. And then here's our sear. Or so, yeah, I guess our sear surface for the hammer. And then we have our trigger inside there. You can't really, oh, there we go. You can see a little bit inside there. So that trips the hammer. So the hammer comes back like this, and then the trigger sear, which is in there, rests on this face. When you pull the trigger out, this falls forward. There's kind of like a half-cock position there, that shelf. I'm going to put these pieces back together. I'm going to clean these pieces up really well before I fully assemble this thing, but I want to have it all in one piece and set it to the side. Oh, you know what? Oh, I take that back. There is a little socket for the spring. I just saw it. It was kind of hard to see. There we go. See that? Right there. There's a socket for the spring. So let's put these things to the side and take the next thing apart. See how well this takedown lever comes out. I have a feeling this one might be pretty tight. Nope, not tight at all. On these things, you really want to use finer blade screwdrivers because this is a part where you could damage the finish if you're using a crappy screwdriver. All right, no springs in there, but when I took this out, the hammer kind of came up a little bit, or the trigger kind of came up a little bit. See that? Where it rests inside there. Let's put that over there. And I think we're getting close to finding the spring. I don't see it yet. There's definitely some spring tension there. This is a really fine punch. Let's see, what is this one? A 1/16. So I know the pin came out this way and should go back in this way. If you want, you can mark these things with paint. Let's really slowly remove this trigger. Okay. I'm going to see if it comes out the front. Oh, and it does. Awesome. And we have a piece of spring steel instead of a coil spring. So let's see how it works. Looks like the way this works is this piece of spring steel here just rides on the bottom of the frame inside there, and that provides your return spring pressure. And it looks like this spring could be replaced if you really tried hard enough, but it's actually staked. See that? They put the spring in and they staked it from this side, kind of staked that metal of the trigger over the top of the spring. So you could replace it if you really had to, but I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't take this thing out. And this is the surface that trips the hammer right there. See that? So you pull this, and you pull the trigger, it goes out and forward. And then when you cock it, you have your half cock and full cock right there. All right, well, pretty cool. This thing is totally stripped apart. I'm going to clean it up and put it back together. I don't think I'm going to video putting it back together because it looks like it's very simple and it's the opposite of how we took it apart. I don't think anything is going to be difficult to put it back together. So if you have any questions about what you saw today in this video, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.